Okay, so in today's video, I'm going to show people how to set up the Windows Server, install the roles, and get everything ready for Active Directory. Um, I'm going to assume a few things. You have a version of Windows Server 2008 R2 or just Windows Server 2008. You haven't done anything, you haven't installed any roles, you haven't made any changes to the system yet. It's just a brand new fresh installation and you're ready to rock. I'll go over a few things as we get into it, but there are some specific things that we're going to have to do. And this video, I mean, I'm doing it on VMware, but this video is good for native desktops as well. You just want to make sure that if you're sending anything live that you're actually following the right protocols and procedures to make everything safe and secure, ready for production. So, okay, we're going to go into the VM workstation, press Control Alt Delete. Here we have my user account and the administrator. We're going to click on the administrator, enter your administrative password. Okay, so this is obviously bringing us into the server, into the Windows Server desktop, and then we have our initial configuration tasks here. Our initial configurations tasks after this is set up won't be too many things, but right now in particular we don't have any roles. We don't have our server actually really doing anything. So we want to go here to add roles, and then you can go ahead and just read over this, verify these right here, and then I just get rid of this default page after. Alright, so our server roles, as you can see, we have a whole bunch. We have a web server, DNS, DHCP application server, whole bunch of different services. So the first service that we're going to install is the Active Domain or Active Directory domain services. So you can go ahead and click on that check mark. Now you can just install Active Directory. You can't install anything else with it. So yeah. So click on Next. Go through and read the introduction as well. Have a look at the things to note. Press Next once you're comfortable. And then, so all this is telling you right here is after the Active Directory services role is installed, you want to run dcpromo.exe to make it a fully functional domain controller. So we're going to click install. Now it's going to go ahead and say initializing installation. I'm going to pause the video, you pause your video, and then once you get to the next prompt when it's asking for user interaction, restart the video and we'll be at the same spot. Alright, so you should be at a screen that looks just like this. Basically all it's telling you obviously is the installation succeeded. The following role services were installed. Active Directory domain controller. Now we want to use the installation wizard to go ahead and configure the Active Directory. So click on that. It's going to bring us to this page. Go ahead, just have a read over everything. If you want, you can use advanced mode installation. I won't be if you're using the advanced mode installation. I don't know why you're watching this video, but hey, do what you gotta do. So have a read over this as well, and then you'll come to this page. Choose a deployment configuration. You want to go ahead, create a new domain in a new forest. This is, obviously for existing domains. Go ahead and click next. Now here we're going to enter in the FQDN. So in my circumstance, I'm going to name the server Win because it is a Windows server. Then I'm going to call it a server, and instead of com, I'm going to use local. Not that it matters, but just that way there won't be any resolution issues when whatever computer decides to ping our domain. Click next, and it's gonna just check to make sure that our forest name is not already in use. Should only take a second. Now, if you're running VMware on an older computer, there's a good chance that these steps are going to take a lot longer. So obviously, just pause the video and then come back to it once you're caught up. Here it's asking for the forest functional level. we're going to go ahead and set Windows Server 2008. Um, this will provide us, the new features from 2008, and basically give us everything that we want. So click next. Okay, so we're going to get to this page right here, and it's going to say additional domain controller options. Select additional options for this domain controller, and what this is basically saying is the Active Directory needs a DNS server to function, so we are going to go ahead and install one. Now I'm going to click next, and it's coming up with here, coming up with this prompt, and it's saying this computer has a dynamically assigned IP addresses. And basically it's just saying don't run a server on a dynamically assigned IP address. Basically because if your server has a dynamic IP and all your customers are connecting through a specific IP, or all your users rather are connecting through a specific IP, and your ISP decides to change your IP on you one day, all of a sudden the number that your users have to connect to doesn't exist anymore, and they have no way to connect. So we're going to assign a static IP address, and how we do that is go down to the connections in the right hand corner, right click, go to Network and Sharing Center, and then you'll see Manage Network Connections. Click on that. Go ahead, right click on this. Now if you have multiple adapters, what you're going to want to do is you're going to look for your local area connection and the one that is enabled, and then right click on it, go to Properties, and then go to the Internet Protocol version number 4, click Properties, and then use the following IP address. Now granted, you have a static IP address, you can go into command prompt, type in ipconfig all. Okay, and then just going to bring this down a bit, and then so if we go up here, where are we at here? So DHCP server, here we go. Okay, so IPv4 address 172.16.165.151 preferred. Okay, so we're going to type that in as our IP address, 165.151. Then we're going to come and open this up again. We're going to look for the subnet mask, so we can see 255.255.255.0, so we'll change that guy to 255. And then we need our default gateway. So in our default gateway, we can find it right here. It says default gateway 172.16.165.2. We'll just go ahead and enter that, 165.2, and go down here, and it says use the following DNS server address. Now if you are on a desktop computer or a server and you're actually connecting physically to your network or a switch or a router or something of that nature, you are actually going to have a DNS right here where it says DNS servers. But because I am using the virtual machine, it is defaulting the DNS server to my default gateway. So that's fine for now because I am on a virtual machine. However, if this was on a desktop computer or a server, something in the real world, you would want to enter that DNS as your primary DNS. So we'll just enter the default gateway for now, and that'll be fine. So 172.16.165.2, and you can go ahead and click OK. Click Close. You can close out of the command prompt and the network connections, the network and sharing center, and we'll be back here to additional domain controller options. So now when we click next, it should just run, and it should bring up that prompt indicating to us that we have dynamically assigned IP addresses. And there we go, it says, and what it did say is that it was basically looking to make sure we could install the DNS server. So here you want to click yes to do you want to continue. It's just saying if we're integrating with an existing DNS infrastructure, you should manually create a delegation to this DNS server. So we're not doing that. Just click yes. Go ahead, click yes through that. Don't switch any of this. And okay, so directory services restore mode administrator password. So go in and enter your actual administrator password for the server. So this has a convention to it, and basically what it is it's at least one uppercase letter, a special character, more than 6 characters with a number as well. Click next. You can go ahead and review that. You can click next again. Now it's going to come up and it's going to finish the installation. You can click on reboot on completion. I'm going to pause this video. You go ahead and pause this video too. When the computer reboots, we'll go ahead and go into the next step. Alright, so now that our server has rebooted, you should find yourself at a page that kind of looks something like this. You want to sign into our administrative account, and it's still our same administrative password. And now that we have our server set up with Active Directory, we got to set up a few more things so we can authenticate Unix users, authenticate Windows users, and actually assign some user accounts for people to sign in with. So what we're going to do is we're going to come down here, we're going to click on Enable Remote Desktop, click Allow connections only from computers running remote desktop with network level authentication, and click Apply, click OK. And then we're going to go into Add Roles, and then click Active Directory Certificate Service. Okay, we're going to click Next, Next, and then Certificate Authority, that's all we need. Enterprise, root CA, create a new private key, and this is all just fine. And what I'm going to do is just go ahead and shorten this just to Win, so it's not a huge mess of a distinguished name. Click Next, and then we're going to set the validity period for the certificate for 5 years, which is just fine. And we're going to put in the certification database and press install. So this is just going to take a minute or two to install. You can pause the video and then come back once you're ready to rock. So now that the installation has succeeded, you can just go ahead and click close and click close. Alright, so this brings up the server manager. Now what I want you to do is we have our certificate services installed. We want to install the services for Unix authentication. Now what we're going to do is we're going to click on roles and go down to the bottom and to Active Directory Domain Services, and you can see in here we have the Active Directory Domain Controller. We want to install Identity Management for Unix, Server for Network Information Services, Password Synchronization, and the Administrative Tools. So what we'll do is we'll click on Add Role Services and then click on the parent Identity Management for Unix, and then Next. It's just telling us what it's going to install. Click Install, and just like last time, you can press pause and come back once it's all ready. Okay, so we finished installing everything now. It says restart pending. You must restart the server to finish the installation process. So you can just go ahead and click that, and then wait for it to turn off. And once it's turned back on, just restart the video. Alright, now we are back to our administrative login. Just go ahead, sign in, and we'll just double check to make sure that everything is still installed, and then we'll go on to the next video. So you can come into roles, click on, oh whoops, okay, yeah, it's going to resume the configuration here. So we can just wait for this to complete. Shouldn't take too long. There we go. And then, so you can just look here, installation succeeded. we have the identity management for Unix. So we can just close that. So we can look in here and then we can just double check to make sure that our server is actually configured the way that we want it. So we look right here, the certification authority is installed, which is exactly what we want. The Active Directory domain controller, which is the basis for this video, is good to go. And the identity management for Unix, everything's installed. So perfect. We are all set up and ready to rock, and in the next video I'll show you how to make some organizational units and add users to them. Alright, thank you very much for watching.